All right. It's a special treat. This is going to be a 15 minutes that that none of us will ever forget. With my sister, one of my 7 sisters, just to be clear, Monique Coleman, Monique AC, by way of Chicago. She is I love her so much, and we're talking. This is 8 days to choose. So she's been seeing this going on from the outside of over this 2018 when I kind of first started talking about I'm going to do this Mission One race in 2019. It happens, and we go public, and she's supporting and we're working on her timing, and she's with her master's, and she's teaching special ed. I believe, Monique, make sure I'm getting this right, and so many other careers. Super intelligent woman, AKA went to Middle Tennessee State University and other universities that I may not know of. And
DePaul, Concordia.
There we go. There you go. Just hold on, Monique. We're going to let you loose in a moment. We're introducing the day 3 in this 8 principles in the midst of 8 days to choose. And really, it's based on this concept that came to me of this country, watch this, the United States of America, has a vision and has documents that actually are amazing, to say we the people, in order to form a more perfect union, right? We believe all folks are, and I'm doing cliff notes, are created equal, and they should have the right of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. And we have the audacity, in a good way, to say we are the United States of America. And I think of unity. So that's a high calling, a high vision. And I don't have to tell us that we have not walked that out. And when I say we have not walked it out, it's the collection of the millions of people from 1776 on, right? When it was official, July 4th is what we celebrate, have fallen short with that. And we cannot do it all inclusively and say every single person was a part of every atrocity, but the majority, because then when the majority is that way, right, we have the type of injustice, hate, bias, and other things that are built into our systems and living in individuals. And I'm saying this not to be negative, but because the United States of America is not an inanimate object that cannot change, as static. It is a collection of human beings that are individually making choices, either choose every single day in each interaction that says, all right, am I going to choose love or hate, to boil it down to the most simple level? So if you look on the bottom and say, we, the United States of love versus we, the United States of hate. And now it's embedding in there the 8 principles of Mission One Race and saying, what if we took a day at a time? I started on July 3rd. This is the 2nd year in a row we've done this. We changed it a bit. It was 8 hours to choose before, 8 days to choose. And we went with understand, forgive. Now we're at relate. We're going to talk about heal, connect, reconcile, which again is always a hot button. People love that reconcile. They want to fast forward to it. It's a lot more to it than just saying we're going to reconcile, and then love, and then act. So really, it's always a challenge for me in the middle spaces, because I seek to be a man of action, right? Because at the end of the day, we're talking the rhetoric. There's so much rhetoric. And that was one of the challenges with Mission One Race, is how do we walk in a lane and a journey that's not short-term, that when the cameras are gone, when all the hoopla is gone, which some of that absolutely is important and good, but the hard work in changing ourselves in society and so forth is when nobody's watching, right? It's when they're, so we find ourselves kind of in that space, right? It's not as popular of a topic. We're kind of in this almost stalemate as a country, where to walk. And I'm hoping to continue with Mission One Race with open arms to say that we are uniquely the same. That's a foundation of truth. Everyone gets to love, even when it hurts at times, and it could be challenging to that we can transform, and we will, one heart, one mind, one soul at a time, together with and for love, right? As we journey towards oneness, and that we do seek out the hearts of the bias, but not in attack, but in relationship. So this is not weak. It's strong, but it's not the typical militant, aggressive, and divisive energy. I don't want justice in spite of, at the cost of unity. I want unity and justice. We don't separate but equal. No more. So we already figured out separate but equal doesn't work, y'all. That's not the plan. The plan is together and equal. This is just coming to me. More I talk about it, comes to my heart. So that's really what you're in the midst of. And we're having a short conversation here, long introduction, because I want to make sure you're a busy woman. We've had conversations there, but I've kind of dropped you into this. But I know your heart, your intellect, your spirit is prepared for this, and we're leaning into relate and that challenge. And if you look at the definition of relate itself, right? It is seeking common ground. It is the fundamentals of relationship. And I'll give you 2 aha moments before I start, and I'll give you one question is, I'm always reviewing and reflecting on my journey, and as well as what our principles are and how we're approaching it, right? Through events, through experiences, through the curriculum, through the content we're creating, right? And through the collaborations that we're growing and having, whether it's a church, whether it's a school, whether it's a business, whether it's a nonprofit, all of these are things that we've been able to do in a very short timeline and touching thousands with both the stuff we're putting out there. And I really just reflected before I prepared with you and thought, relate might be out of order. It might supposed to be understand, and I would switch it if I feel like in my heart, and maybe that's the question, understand. And then from that understanding, you're able to relate to someone. Then after the relation's there, because once that empathy is there instead of apathy, right? Then you're able to forgive, which we already hit, and we're not going backwards now, but I'm just being honest with you. And then healing. And that healing doesn't start. We know that within ourselves, oftentimes, definitely within ourselves, because that's all we can control until we let that bitterness go, until we let other things go. And we don't like it because we want that. We don't just want justice. We're honest, deep down, revenge or some payback. Let's keep it, because forgiveness in this definition says, I give up the right, to say I demand payment for your past doing. And again, we can go relational with this thing, but we're not going to, in terms of like, not agape love, we're talking agape love. We're not going into eros love, or if you will, relatable romantic spaces, which I think people probably in chats they could start going off right now. Yeah, she got on my nerves. That's not where we're going with it, but there's similar entities. So all of that to say, do you agree even with that? Like maybe we will lead into that. What is before relate or forgive, or it maybe depends on the person. If you're after you're seeking to understand from listening, right? Do you feel like relation is the most important next, or is forgiveness most important next, or what?
See, I think for me, forgiveness has to come before relate, right? I have to forgive you because when I think about relate, I think about relationships, and I can't form a relationship with you until I forgive you, right? I can't, because I always have that barrier up in the back of my mind, no matter what you're saying. But you did this to me. I'm thinking something differently, because we always think in our unconscious mind what's going on unconsciously. And so for me, I need to I have to forgive before I can relate. I really do. And that's me. And then if I can touch on a couple of things that you said, I love when you were saying that you were reflecting, right, on everything that you do as an educator. That's what we're supposed to do every day. And also as a Christian, the Bible says, let a man examine himself daily. And so when you're doing that, you're doing reflection. When I, as a teacher, I reflect, okay, in this lesson, did my students learn this? What did my students learn? I'm always doing reflecting and assessment. Did I do something right? Did I deliver the message the right way for people to receive it in order to reflect on what they've learned also? So I think it's critical. It's critical as I come into this phenomenal organization, the things that I need to make sure within me that I can be the best that I can be here as well. Because as I go through these 8 days as well, there's a lot that I have to do personally, because I need to be the best I can be in anything that I'm a part of. So this is really helping me as well. So I really appreciate just having the opportunity to really be part of it now that I'm on summer break, so I can kick it off and then I can have it, I'm sailing then when schools start back. So yeah, I'm just very happy. So to answer your question, yes, I think I need to forgive before I can relate.
I'm not even joking with you. 2 things is just blowing my mind. I'm trying to hold the tears back, to be honest. And you don't even know it. You're affected because what's an added benefit to being obedient to the calling that's on my life is the time I've gotten to spend with Deidre. Is a time that I feel connected, that you and I are here talking with Mitzi about it, with Michael about it. And I think in the future, because we're just warming up what we're going to be doing in local in Chicago and throughout. That's number one. Number two, Monique, thank you for articulating that step. Because I do feel like these steps were given divinely. I mean, there's people that do have degrees and studies in this. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm impressed with that, but I'm not necessarily, how can I say this, with humility, but also a respect for the work that's been done. But also there needs to be humility for the fact that if all of a sudden everybody is such an expert at this and has this figured out and have all these platforms, where you been? Because we jacked up. Everybody acting like they absolutely knew it. And we're in this dire of a straits in terms of, I think it's worse than when I was growing up in terms of racial and cultural.
Absolutely.
And we're talking as if anybody in this area, like they're the GOAT of reconciliation. So I think even when there is truth happening, because I think revivals in a way, right? And that's whether you're Christian or not, revivals in our spirit and our relationships can happen and it can pour out, but there also has to just be this posture of wondering and humility to say, you know what I mean? Maybe our approach needs to change or be open, right, to new ways of thought and thinking, almost a revival, a renaissance, if you will, a social renaissance of like really how we're viewing people. And I think this oneness is it. Because oneness is not assimilation. It's this thing that, Monique, it messes me up because I literally am able to, like, I see myself in people that I will never be in their shoes. I don't know what it's to be a white female on 2 degrees. It's not my cultural perspective. That's not some of the advantages and or disadvantages in certain segments. And then as a gender, I don't know what it's like to be in a world where large times the majority disparity is on females. Even when as I work and operate with World Vision, you go into extreme underdeveloped areas, and oftentimes the people getting it worse are the young girls and women, right? Like consistent. So I'm trying to give those levels to it. So like not only as a white person, I don't exactly know what that experience is like. I don't know what it's like to be a female. So that's just giving one example, but I've been able to say that's not an excuse, right? Correct. And there can be something divine and or this oneness goes, but wow, I can try. I can shut up for a moment and go like, man, what would it be like to constantly feel like, man, am I in physical harm here? Am my voice even being respected and heard here on the same level? Right? And what assumptions are being made on me, even from my complexion, other assumptions. So just that is giving you an example of it. And that's, I think relating is what we're talking about. So maybe from your end, where do you feel gaps and where either folks, for some reason, are not able to relate to you? And then how do we find that common ground to relate?
Okay. 2 things I want to point out before I answer that question. One thing you said, maybe we need to change. We do need to change our focus, right? We do not maybe take maybe out. And number 2, when you were saying the experts, unfortunately, society recognized people with a lot of MBAs, whatever initials behind their name, before they see them as credible. So as we seek to change society and to look at things from an ethical, personal experience, then things will begin to change. Me, I'm gonna tell you, I'm having a hard time right now with race relations. I'll tell you why. I am a Black teacher in a predominantly Black underprivileged school. We have a white administration principal, and we have about 3 white teachers. And for me, I feel, and I read a book called White Fragility. And I think what I try to do, I seek to understand people, because I now can see some of the ignorance. And when I say ignorance means lack of knowledge, people get very offended. They just need to know the definition of ignorance. Ignorance means lack of knowledge. So somehow society made it like, you call me ignorant, but lack of knowledge. And so with them, some of the things that they do is a racist comment, but it doesn't make them racist, right? And there's a difference. You're ignorant, you don't know. And I say that to say, when I'm in a situation, I have to make sure as a Black woman, because, we're labeled as angry Black women. So for me, I make sure to avoid that whenever I'm having a conversation that may get a little bit heated or a little contested, right. I always have another person there, right? So no, that's not what she said. I people that I feel that will not accept me, or some words I say may get twisted, but I always have somebody there. And I think with this mission race, when I look at this unity, it's going to help me because my population, the young Black men that I can plant this seed, I can throw in Mission Race, right? I'm in charge of the service learning projects at Phillips. I am the service learning coordinator. And so, well, now it's called coach. So I'm thinking of a way, as I'm looking at this, how can my kids be a part of this Mission One? What can we do as their service learning project? Whereas I want my kids to give back to the world. How can we make the world a better place with using Mission One Race? This is what I'm looking now. So how I'm gonna have a group of kids do a service learning project on this. And I get so excited because they're young Black men and women. And so it's so needed so they can develop this uniqueness of being justice and unity, right? Yes. Because all they right now in Chicago, we want justice, we want justice, we want justice. And that's, you know, there is no justice really when there's someone's life is dead. You can't get the life back. So will it ever be justice? No. So anyway, so to answer your initial question, which was, I forgot, I started rambling.
No, which was relate. So like what you're already showing is like those spaces when you feel that gap, for example, maybe teacher to teacher, you can relate because there's probably a common passion to uplift the youth, or at least you hope, right? When folks get into it, or there's a common, what I found in being able to travel to Uganda, South Africa, Germany, Qatar, Dubai, London, throughout the United States, I don't know, 30 states or so. I'm not saying that to brag. Guess what I found out though? That 99.9% of us being the same genetically as well as in humanity, and only 0.1% of us really being, quote, different on any level is true. I have not walked anywhere and felt like these are aliens. Wow. These are aliens. No, it's like I see me in this country, but instead I see me having no access to water. I see, oh man, I'm gonna cry. I see my children dying of that. I see myself in Germany. One of the most beautiful things that I ever did in the bias that I didn't know I had was experience. Let me tell you what, I've been treated the best by people of Caucasian or white people ever in my life, multiple times each of my trips to Germany. Let that sink in. And from what we've been told, let's be real, what has been implied, and I'm only using that as a story to say, wow, that shifted me. So then it allowed me more and more to go, right? Each person at a time. It's hard work, but that's the work. The work is, that's why it's not that we don't believe in addressing systematic dismantlement or systemic issues, but we cannot circumvent. It has to be a both and of, right? Individuals. It's individuals and institutions. It's hard work.
Hey, Richard, you say you went to Germany. When I go to Kansas, when I visit Brittany, sometimes I'm like, oh my God, this white person is super nice. What's going on here? You know, I just experienced it yesterday. I was in Bolingbrook. I was in Costco, and I'm getting toast, and a white lady, and I hate to say the white lady because there we go again.
You don't want it, right?
She's white. I don't want to see. She's a woman, but I see white lady
who happened, right?
But I see, right. And so I know for me, I got to go through this culture shift. You know, I didn't want you to think I was just standing here. You know, I'm just waiting for you to get up to tub, and I'm looking like, she didn't have to explain, but you know, and then she's being nice to Juliana. I'm like pulling Juliana away. I was like, oh Lord, I got a lot of growth to do. I do. And I think society has made me remember, you know, when we were younger, we had KKK before you were born written in our driveway. I remember when I was
Monique, what did you just drop on this call? How did I know this? That happened when I'm not surprised, but I'm a little bit surprised. I did not know
because we were the first one Black people there. So KKK was written in our driveway. Also, when I was working for Coca-Cola, I went to Lockport, and I was doing something with the vending machines. Nigger, get out of here. I'm not going to buy anything from you when I was working for Coca-Cola. So it brings back those memories, you know, because I've been called the N-word.
Monique, we're recording. Like, hold on one second. We're almost done. Y'all are seeing.
That was Brittany. That was Brittany. I didn't know
I said hi. That's our.
I sent it to voicemail. Go ahead. So,
officer. Right, all of that stuff going on.
She's a captain. No, she's a captain. Yeah, she's a captain.
Well, that's not an officer.
Captain. That is an officer, but I need you to understand it's a captain. It's not a first lieutenant. It's a captain. So just understand the rank. People don't better recognize an
Let's
army.
land this plane.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so for me, I'm excited because with this information, it's going to be shared with my students in high school, and I just see, for them to be a part of this is amazing because I'm bringing it to them. And actually, I'm gonna have you speak to them.
Well, let's do it because remember, that's part of what we do is not just talking. That's in our curriculum section. That's in our one truth, right? One world, and then this one cause. I think I'm calling it, and or whatever it is. And I want to make this curriculum we can lean into.
And we can make this a service learning project for all schools.
And hands on,
anybody want to use it. Yep.
Because we're going to call it this though, because I love it. Our young folks are rebels. Rebels with a cause. Rebels with a cause. That's the
only thing I say. Rebels has such a negative connotation.
I know. That's why.
That's the only thing.
Listen. But we'll discuss that because I kind of like it because at the end of the day is Jesus was a rebel. People don't want to hear that.
It's like a good fight. I mean,
We'll talk. Listen. We'll talk about it, but with the cause. Because here's the thing: the old movie was without a cause. So that's a problem. And I spoke at Westmont College. Shout out to you guys years ago. And I was like, the difference isn't like I honestly just think it's the posture. I think they're wired that way, and I think we need a little bit of rebellion. But what are you rebelling? And what's your cause? You rebelling pencils, like it's just weird stuff like that. We're like saying no to everything. Like I rebel a school day. No, you need to go to school. But certain things we need them to go. Like what we're talking about right now, we're better than this. And some of the youth are in that space. Like this is silly. Like, why are we letting people suffer like this in our country? Why are you letting people suffer like this in the world? So that aspect of it. But I kind of like to walk that line of like the rebels with the cause. And first, maybe in academia, I have to call it something else, like young innovators. I don't know, whatever, young philanthropists. I don't know, but we'll figure that out. But I am so thankful. This is day 3 relate. And Monique, there's so much to talk about, and we're gonna be that. Hopefully, this even kind of put some seasoning on and some fire on like the things that we can do together as brothers and sisters. And the last thing I didn't mention, and this is kind of a personal but public moment, I saw Mama over you so strongly as you articulated and spoke about some of these points, and I didn't know it was gonna happen. God rest her soul. Such a woman of right, like.
I was just looking at all her pictures yesterday. Which is so crazy. I found a whole box of Mama's pictures, and I was just like crying.
I can see it. If we can just do an aspect of her, like this woman, her intelligence, her grace, but her strength. You weren't getting anything over on Mama,
and her faith.
And she never felt out of place, whether she was talking to a congressman, a president, or whatever, or to write a kid, a mother trying to put together and dislocated workers. Any of that stuff, she was readily available and loved it. So we're just walking that out, and you combine that with our influences, and you guys will talk to my father as well. John is this eccentric, wise self. You can see the combination of the two people kind of in the midst of all of us in this heart. So I want to say thank you all in the name of love, mission, and oneness. We're out. And Monique, I love you. I'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Okay, love you. Bye. Okay.